Hi, guys.
How are you?
We're good. You look so adorable.
Oh my gosh. This is the first time I've put on makeup or done my hair in probably like 2 weeks. So
That's what we said.
just,
We always love to get dressed up.
just for you. Yeah.
Aw, love it.
How are you guys doing?
We're good. It's a beautiful day right now outside, so we're happy about it. We've had some weather in Charleston, so the sun's shining, so we're good. But yeah, we're super excited about this. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes,
This is
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I'm super excited to chat with you guys and share more about what you guys are doing and have you share some advice to help all the couples out there who are struggling through this wedding planning process right now in light of everything that is going on. So awesome. Well, hey there from Dallas. Hi.
Hey.
People are joining and saying hello. You guys take advantage of the question box for Monica and Chelsye so they can answer questions towards the end of this. But I guess we'll go ahead and get started and just have you guys share a little bit about your company and how you got started and all of that stuff.
Yeah, all the fun stuff, all the background stuff. So Intrigue was born about 12 years ago, established in '08. Before then, I actually had a marketing and graphic design company, and we did a lot of product launches and grand openings. And I was like, wow, I really love this creative side of the business because I was more the sales and marketing side. And I just fell in love with being able to create something and bring people together and then see their reaction at events and things of that nature. So I was like, okay, what do I want to do next? And Intrigue Events was born shortly after that.
Amazing.
Charleston, yeah. And from there, we've now just been, doing our thing, getting people married.
Yeah, 12 years of it too. So I'm sure you guys have seen some things and have lots of stories to share.
We do, yeah. I mean, from '08 till now, and even with the pandemic and, kind of the situation that we're in right now, definitely some things have to assist and kind of help people through that change as well.
Awesome. Yeah. I think it's funny. My background is in graphic design as well. So it's funny how like this creative sort of endeavors lead you towards certain career paths. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I know even though you guys have been working traditionally with clients throughout the last 12 years, in light of everything that's going on, you guys have kind of made a pivot in your business, which I think a lot of wedding planners and wedding professionals can probably relate to. So I'd love to have you guys share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, of course. So Virtually Wed is our new baby.
I love the name, by the way.
We love it. So with Intrigue, we have traveled all over the world, doing weddings and doing events from Mexico to the Bahamas to Australia, up and down the East Coast. So we are very, I guess, trained or abreast when it comes to navigating the waters of different places that maybe we have never even been to. So with Virtually Wed, it actually kind of was an idea after I talked to a girl that was getting married in California. It was right at the beginning of the pandemic and everything that was happening, and she was just lost. And she was like, the referral actually came from one of our brides, our past brides. And she was like, you know what, I thank her for this, but she was like, I had the best planner, and kind of touch base and see, what they might be able to do and kind of help. So I spoke with her. She sent all of her contracts to us. We reviewed everything and we created a plan for what she should do next. And that just kind of struck a chord. I was like, it's not this one bride or one couple who's going through this. There's got to be millions of people who are dealing with the same thing. So I came back to the girls and I was like, we're gonna make this a thing and offer these services to people who are were able to hire like a day of, or maybe they're working with a venue that's a full service venue, but they're not really helping with design or even rescheduling, and kind of just helping them transition through that. They might even have a planner, which we welcome that as well. If they have kind of like a day of, then we'll kind of help them get there. And then that way they're not having to go over budget with the transition. So we're trying to be, very budget friendly, but making sure that we're the lifeline for them too.
Yeah, absolutely. I know like a ton of the brides in our community. We have a huge group of over 12,000 people now on Facebook, which is crazy. If you're not in there, you guys join us on Facebook. But
all the posts I just recently joined. It's really
oh yeah, it's amazing. It's such an amazing community, to be honest. They're just really supportive of one another, which is great. But I think a lot of them maybe are in the position where they can't afford like a full service planner, but could use a little bit more like personalized guidance and advice. So this sort of thing is a great option, I think, for people who are in that position. And I know you guys have like various packages depending on how much help couples need, right?
Right.
Yes.
Monica, you can kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So our very initial kind of package, we automatically give a free 30-minute conversation consultation.
Which is never 30 minutes.
Yeah, it always is longer.
So that's okay.
As soon as you start talking and rolling and all that fun stuff, we just can't get to know you in a very short amount of time. And by that point, we haven't really started to delve really into any of what your needs are as a bride.
The details, yeah.
So our very first package is about an hour to 2 hour consultation where you kind of throw everything that you have at us. And then we go over it, we give you advice, we set you up in the right direction for if you are totally lost in what you need to do. Just a very basic kind of initial, I need help. Can I actually figure out what I need to do next? Or
and
do
like
I
a
need
checklist. Mm-hmm. So like going through like a checklist of, you know, where are you at? Is your wedding, you know, now, or is it in the fall, or are you kind of thinking like even before in the spring? Just with the financial heartache that everybody has experienced. I mean, we're even getting calls about people who are getting married in the spring, but because of finances, they're like, we're not really sure what we're going to be able to do then. So it's a way for us to kind of, like she was saying, give guidance. We give a downloadable checklist that they have access to. We'll customize that for them based on kind of where they're at. And then the packages kind of go up from there.
Mm-hmm. So our next package is the virtual planner package, correct? And that's essentially access to our planning software.
Which is amazing.
Which is pretty awesome.
Wow. I didn't know you guys were so high tech. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, maybe not us, but we have people that. But no, the planning software is amazing. It's online. It's our lifeline. So everything is inclusive, from your timeline to a full budget. That checklist that we were talking about, it's actually online, so you can go through and change it. Design studio.
Yes, love the design
note
studio.
section. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, guest list. Guest list and like a layout if you do want to do a layout. It's all on there. So with the certain packages, depending on how much time that they're with us, then they get certain access to certain things. And it's all based on kind of what stage you're in. If you're done with planning, but you're like, I just have a couple little questions, then, you know, the first kind of consulting package would be better. If they are still looking for guidance and their wedding's 6 months to 7 months away, then, you know, the virtual is a little bit better. And then we have the design package, which includes more time with myself in the sense of I have a design, but I don't know how to incorporate that and make that come to life. We get a lot of brides who are like, I'm DIY, I'm very creative, but I don't know really what steps to take or how do I find information about certain things I might want to build. So giving them all of those tools and access to that, and then having everything in one place that they can kind of keep themselves organized. It's the new 2020 or 2021 like binder, wedding binder.
Yes.
You know, but like me and like with you and your book, like we love paper. We have our binders, we have our calendars, but we also have the virtual thing too.
And it's a great kind of segue to integrate the real relationship between us and the client. So it's not just they're plugging things into this program and it's there for organization, but we can access it, we can see it, we can both have our eyes on it, put notes in it, and really help you from there. So we're all kind of incorporated, which is nice.
Yeah, for sure. And it's amazing to have resources that they can kind of access from anywhere and be able to communicate with you guys no matter where they are. So I think that's really amazing. And I love that you guys have kind of seen a need and really pivoted to try to fill that and help those couples who are in that circumstance. Like so many are right now. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's what we're hoping. We just don't want people to feel lost. We want them to know that we're here to help.
Yeah, for sure. Have you seen like a lot of your couples like pivot their plans entirely that you're working with, like downsizing? Like what kind of things are you seeing among your clients?
I mean, it ranges across the board, to be honest. We had a lot of couples in the spring that have they did cancel their wedding and they're rescheduling for either the fall or next spring. We've had other couples who are saying, you know what, we want to go ahead and downsize and do like a micro size wedding to where they're going to go ahead and get married, but then they're only going to have like 50 or 60 people at the reception. We've had people who have been like, you know what, we're just going to get married and we want to elope and kind of go that direction. And elopement doesn't mean, and we were kind of chatting about this, and we have some tips and stuff that we'll chat about with later on, but
Yeah.
elopement doesn't mean that you're like traveling to a destination. You know, you can still get married in your hometown. Or if you have a town that's 2 hours away, then, you know, you can still make it special without feeling like you have to go to like a, you know, Treasure Island or
Right. I hear so much these days, and it seems to be a big trend, people doing kind of like the adventure elopement sort of thing. And I think maybe that's what a lot of people have in their heads when they hear elopement, like traveling and going somewhere far away to do that. But it's something you can totally do at home in your home city or even somewhere close by. So that's definitely a good point to make and something for people to keep in mind.
Or
yeah, no, I love that.
Having the huge party after all of this and still eloping and saving your original date and having that special time. So we have a lot of clients who've done a mixture, which is great because we're figuring out what they want to do, what they need to do, what's best for them. And we're not trying to just say, this is your option and that's all you get to do. So
we don't want to pigeonhole them into a decision. We want to say, you know, one, like we go through a whole questionnaire. Where are you from? Is your guests coming from any hotspots that are currently out? Are they able to travel? Do they feel comfortable traveling? So there's a lot of safety guidelines that we kind of go through in order to make sure that they're making the right decision for them.
So important right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, those are really, really good things to keep in mind, especially like as things progress and as we move forward into the later parts of the year. And I think it's great that you kind of walk people through that because for anyone who's never planned a big event like this before, which most people planning a wedding, it's their first time, like they've never done this before. So having, you know, experts like you guys to bring up those important questions and make sure they're thinking through everything when making those big decisions is such a big help, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. You're like drinking water. I'm like, I should have brought a glass of water.
I did some yoga this morning and I've been running around because we're doing a shoot for some elopements tomorrow.
Oh,
wow. Hot here.
Yeah.
Hydrated.
I'm in South Florida and I've been struggling to keep myself as hydrated as possible because it's very hot and humid here, which is why my hair is like crazy right now.
You got a pretty curl, girl.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's the beach waver.
Right.
It's my favorite. But yeah, I think one of the other questions that my brides ask me a lot, like in our Facebook group and stuff like that, are like, what's like the safest like option for them right now, all things considered. And I know a lot of it's going to kind of depend and vary on like what area of the country that they're in and things like that. But what would be your answer to that?
So we've done a couple of different things and kind of talked through a couple of different options. So a couple of things that we have looked at is that there is some amazing companies that do that have been doing cleaning, but that do like a lot of like deep cleans and have new like spray fog machines that they can come through and clean a space. It doesn't leave anything on the plates or on the tables. It doesn't leave any type of residue. It takes about 15 or 20 minutes. So right before guests arrive, then that could be an option.
Wow.
We've been going through protocol with like our caterers and our bar services and actually calling around to other cities just to find out what phase, depending on what phase they're in, how they're approaching it. A lot of our vendors are creating guard shields. Now they're not the prettiest thing, I know, but they will keep your guests safe. And we're kind of talking through our couples in the sense of where to place them so they're not like in the middle of their, beautiful reception, even if they're doing a smaller one. We are also requiring, staff members to wear masks, in the sense of gloves, and then really kind of setting up protocol. And this is something that we really talk with our brides about, because they would never know to talk about these things or ask these questions to their venue. So kind of giving them like that check sheet of how is the staff handling it? What are they doing? What is their protocol as far as the venue goes? What is the catering doing to kind of step up that level of service and walk them through that? We did talk to a couple people too, as far as like layouts and what does that look like, and just making sure that, like, depending on what phase that they're in or what the CDC guidelines are, that they're just following those to the best of their ability. And then again, what their comfort level is, like, depending on where their guests are coming, do they want to have 20 people or do they want to have the 50, or like right now, Charleston's capacity is 50% in a venue. So it's kind of,
and that's not, they don't put like a total number of guest limit. It's just a 50% capacity limit.
As long as you can reach, like, as long as you're staying within the CDC guidelines of 6 feet within distance of your tables. So there's a maximum number of guests that you can have at your table. And it's kind of funny because these are all guidelines. So even though our clients could technically say, we don't want to do this, we don't want to abide by these, so we're going to do our thing. So we're just saying, well, then if you want to do that, here's what we would recommend. But if you choose not to do that, then, here's a waiver.
Right.
Right. Yeah. But it's just making sure that, like, the tables are 6 feet apart, that the couple is really kind of honing into, maybe they're not doing stations, maybe they're doing a seated dinner instead, because there's a lot more control aspect there. Families who have been together, if there's a family of 8 and they've stayed quarantined together, they've been together, then you could sit them at a table together. Everybody else, we're kind of like picking and choosing, how they're doing that. So I think that walking through those protocols and making sure that they're having those hard conversations with their vendors, and the vendors are taking on that responsibility, is the biggest thing.
Well, one of the hardest things we've run into with all of our panels and calling around has been that the vendors are leaving most of the liability up to client, so bride or groom or planners. So being a planner, it's really our job to educate our couples and make sure they're comfortable level, and then really vetting the rest of the vendors, like, this is what we have to do. You have to be on board with this if y'all aren't going to take the responsibility into your hands to make sure that guests are safe and staff is safe as well. So it kind of does come down on us, but it's great that we know all of these rules.
Yeah. It's a lot of work for you guys to keep yourself informed of everything that's going on and the restrictions and the regulations, just to make sure everyone else is safe. And obviously you're managing the entire event, so that's what they pay you the big bucks for, right? But
we like to be in control because we are planners, so it's almost, I would prefer it this way than on the opposite end. I don't like walking into a space and not knowing what's happening or who's doing what, and especially nowadays. I mean, Monica and I have been quarantined together for pretty much 2 months, so making sure that, like, within the office and then separately, that we're taking protocol and doing our thing. But we posted just internally with Intrigue in our business venue panels, because we also do some venue management. So we really know both sides of the planning aspect of it, also the venue aspect. So setting meetings up with caterers and other planners and venues to understand what their guidelines and policies that they are putting in place, so that we can better help, virtually with people and understanding their contracts and what to look out for.
Yeah, for sure. I always say that, like, I feel like, is it a good assumption or guesstimate, I guess, that all planners were like the lead of every group project they ever did, like, throughout school?
I would say, so when I was in school, I was kind of, well, at least in college, I had already started my marketing company when I was a sophomore. So I was, if it interested me, I wanted to do it. But if it didn't, I was like, you just go ahead. So I think it worked a little both ways. But I would say that's probably a fair assumption. Everybody likes to have that creative aspect and that control.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit type A, just a little bit maybe.
A little.
Um, so one of the other questions I had was when like I like to call it almost like a bonus wedding, like the couples who are kind of pivoting and having like a small ceremony now, but then postponing the bigger event to a later date in the future. What are some things that you think are most important for couples to focus on if they are going to do something at home and they want to keep like, you know, basically they're adding like an extra event to their budget. So
Yeah.
what are some of the things that you think are like most important to focus on?
Yeah, so I've definitely seen a huge trend in taking residential areas or a family home or a friend's home or something that's not an actual venue space, and turning that into a beautiful ceremony and like intimate little reception afterwards. I definitely see that trend along par with all of the huge wedding magazines and publications and inspiration websites and all that fun stuff. And I think it's a great thing to kind of head towards, especially now that micro weddings are also becoming very popular, just plain elopements without having a huge after party as well too. So I like the flip of the spectrum that now we're not really looking at the 300-person wedding is ideal and what you have to do. You could do something really cool with the resources that you have without a huge budget and with the people.
I've been preaching this for 12 years, by the way, just for anyone who's wondering. But it only took a pandemic to have everyone's perspective flipped, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I love the idea of finding, like, we've done a lot of cool residential home weddings before in the past, like over the past 12 years. So just kind of bringing that trend back in, I think would be really fun.
I mean, there's something about it when we've talked to, like, when I've done the walkthrough and we're trying to kind of figure out, you know, do you want just a ceremony? Do we want to do, you know, a smaller dinner or whatever it is? But it's awesome to hear the stories like that come about with the home or the property, whether it's their grandparents' house or one of their best friends' house or, you know, mom and dad, or even their own house in their backyard. It's really cool how personable that is, and just that memory, not that your wedding isn't going to be amazing if it's in a venue, but that memory is going to be even more special just because of the location and the history. So we love some backyard parties and elopements and smaller receptions if they decide to go that direction.
Yeah, I love it too. I do think it adds like that extra bit of like personal meaningfulness to get married somewhere that means something to you or your family or has been, you know, a big part of your history. So I love that. And in terms of like making, like if they are going to do something at home, kind of like choosing, I guess, a focal point for like the ceremony. Like what have you seen where people are doing things like that?
Yeah. So this is like my favorite because this is like design aspect of it. But so we've done a couple of things. We have recommended that if they want to do an arbor of some sorts, now there is so many things off of Etsy that you can get. I mean, go on
Etsy
Marketplace. I mean, there's so much stuff. But having an arbor as like a backdrop, and honestly, a beautiful bouquet. It's in all of your pictures. Mm-hmm. You can use it for many different things. It can then become a centerpiece if you need to later on. And then repurposing that. So once you have your backdrop, then your sweetheart table or even a head table with your family could go in front of it. If you're doing like a little mini cake for just that celebratory cake cutting or a champagne toast of some sorts, then you can still reuse that ceremony piece in all different types of aspects of the wedding too. So, and we've even done that just with larger weddings. We've transitioned a ceremony backdrop to a cake backdrop to just like fun little picture photo booth where your guests can take pictures in front of it. You can put your last names on it afterwards if you want to. So there's so many creative ideas that you can do and get more bang for your buck. We always think of like, what's going to make the most impact? What are your guests going to remember? And then let's concentrate there and then kind of go down the line. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. I have the same kind of like thought process when I think about all of that. And I love anything that can be used like double duty, I say.
Ooh, I love double duty.
Double duty.
Hashtag
Double duty wedding decor. Yeah, so reusing things like, you know, the backdrop for your ceremony as like the cake table backdrop or things like that. Like I love just reusing things and repurposing them, because especially if, you know, in a more traditional wedding, you know, if you're moving between two spaces, like, and you're leaving all of that decor at that first location, like that's such a waste. Like bring it with you and reuse it at the reception. And that's where having, you know, a team in place like can help execute those things. On like a more traditional wedding day. But
yeah. And there's definitely ways to incorporate beauty and things that you don't necessarily traditionally think are. Like you go on Instagram and you see beautiful images of couples in front of a door with a door knocker, and it's someone's front door, and it looks stunning and fabulous. Or a wonderful staircase, or even
like
a beautiful tree that's in your backyard. I mean, there's so many things. Photography is a wonderful thing. I wish I was awesome and could take pictures.
Yeah.
Have the eye for that, but they truly do transform just the most ordinary things into something beautiful. So keep that in mind as well. If you can't afford or don't want to have the hassle of creating some backdrop or centerpiece or something crazy, like you can do something beautiful that already is existing in your home.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, use nature. Like especially if you're doing something in the backyard, you know, like the natural greenery, trees, like make such a beautiful backdrop. And to your point, Monica, like a good photographer is worth every penny that you will pay for them. And I've seen that like 1,000 times over. They can shoot things strategically to make a wedding look so much more full than it might be actually in person. So yeah, I think those are also really, really excellent points.
Well, and at the end of the day, that's all you have are those pictures, you know? So want to make sure you have that connection and that you really love their style and go from there. But photography is pretty much everything. You can nix us, just get the photography.
No, they don't want to nix you. They want your help.
Point for have your little small something now and then have your big party later is twice the pictures, so you get twice the looks, twice the outfits. If you're one of those people like me,
twice the Instagram content, right?
That you could also look at it that way too. It's just you have double the fun.
Totally.
Yeah. Why not?
Yes. I agree. It's all about like looking for those silver linings. So don't look at it as like, oh, I'm having to downsize and have this like little small wedding and my other wedding's getting postponed till later. Look at it as like, I have a bonus party right now. And then I have another party to look forward to down the line.
I love that. I love that term. That's nice.
Bonus. So I know another question that like a lot of our community has been asking is, you know, how do they decide when to make the call? Because like certain areas, like we know, are not opening up like as quickly as others. And so do you have any sort of like rule of thumb in terms of when to kind of make those?
Yeah, we've been playing on like the 60-day mark. So if you kind of talking through your timeline, because if you do need to make any adjustments or any changes, then 60 days is plenty enough time to be able to do that typically. So depending on what phase they're in and how the venues are looking at their contracts, you know, no one had, you know, pandemic included in their contract. So
they might going forward, but not before now.
They all do now. They all do now. But kind of looking at it that way and at least having a game plan and saying that, okay, if we do have to postpone, what dates are our options so that they can go ahead and start having those conversations with their vendors to make sure all their vendors are available as well. And then as they get a little bit closer to that 45 or 30 day, then they can decide to go ahead and pull the trigger. You know, one thing that we are, you know, telling people is just to, if you're getting married in the fall, and I know that with the news and everything, everybody's like, it could come back. Well, technically it hasn't gone anywhere. It's still here. You know, people are just being very safe and taking protocol in order to kind of open back up again. But it's kind of just say like, wait, because we could be fine. You know, I know that people get really nervous, but things could change over the next couple months. And the fees that could be possibly involved, the extra money that you're going to be spending to reschedule, if you can avoid that, then obviously that would be, you know, the best. Also, if you are in a mandate, then the venue, if you can't get to the venue, then the venue has to release you.
Yeah.
So
that is a good point and a good thing for everyone to keep in mind.
just so that they, you know, if you try to get out now, then there could be potential of having to pay extra fees. If you just wait and get a game plan and just have a solid foundation of what your next steps would be, which is why, you know, we're here to kind of help through that process, then you can wait until that 60 or 30-day mark to ultimately make that decision and go from there.
That's such good advice. You guys are amazing. Everyone's so lucky to have you and be working with you. Everybody needs someone in their corner. I think there's like something is like running around on my roof right outside the window over here. Sorry. I swear every time I do an Instagram live, something crazy happens. Like the ice cream man drives down the street or the lawn guys start going. It's just like, it's madness here, but.
I get calls. Until we go on live and then she'll get like a million calls.
I've already gotten 2 and it's black out. That's why I'm like, people, you know that we're on a live, right?
It's happened to me before too. It's funny. It never fails, but this is real life. This is what's happening. We're rolling with it. One of the other questions that I had gotten via Instagram when I posted the question box earlier this week was about like, what are your thoughts on like the old school, like just doing like a cake and punch reception, like the days of old, you know?
I don't like it.
So we love it. We are actually in the midst of creating, and hopefully we'll be able to share with you guys more, but packages like that, just for that purpose, where you might have 10 or 15 or 20 people that you can come, you can still have your beautiful backdrop and have your pictures, and do like a little cake or mini treats is something that we're talking with our caterers about, where everybody gets a little custom box of maybe 3 little mini treats in it, and then we have a cake, an individual cake that the couple can cut, and then we might do a champagne toast or a punch toast or whatever that they want to do, and then if they decide to go back to their home and have a dinner, or if they decide to you know, do something else, if they are able to go to a restaurant and that's, you know, something that they want to consider, but it still makes it special. I want people to know that even though during this time, you know, there's nothing wrong with going to the courthouse and getting married, you know, and doing something later. But if you do want something, then it doesn't have to just go away. So we love that. Take us back old school any day.
Yeah, normalizing what kind of used to be instead of obviously the huge wedding boom that happened with social media. You don't have to have this crazy thing to have a worthy wedding. Like at the end of the day, it's about the union of 2 people and their love, and whatever you want to do that makes you special and commemorate that moment, we're 100% down for. So I'm here for normalizing the punch and the reception. All the things. I love it. I love
Preach.
No, I mean, and I think that some people do get lost in the planning aspect of it, and they forget that, hey, I'm marrying my best friend, you know, and we try to create moments even with like our larger weddings when we were doing, you know, more, and hopefully eventually, you know, that those will come back again, but is taking our couples and just saying, have a moment. Like, we're going to put you in this room for just a second. Like, you just got married. You're being, you know, bombarded by all these people. So I think that these smaller weddings and elopements and micro weddings are really going to kind of bring back the specialness of what the commitment is and the ceremony. And I don't know, might slow some people down a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. They say it's a whirlwind, and it's like a cliche that like your wedding day is a whirlwind, but it's so true. It goes by so fast in a blink, and the more people are there, the more you're spreading your time among trying to say hello and greet all of those people. And so I really love a small intimate wedding for that reason, because I think you just get more quality time with the people who are there.
Yeah. And then again, like going back to doing it, and then if you have like a million friends who you just want to be there, have a party like later on. You know, we're all about it, but I can't tell you how many of our brides, you know, after they've come up the aisle and they've gotten married and it's all this excitement, and then, you know, our couples might look at us and be like, what just happened? Yeah. I'm like, I'm married. So it's nice to take a beat for a minute and just be in the moment.
Or the emails afterwards where they're like, what do I do now that my wedding's over? I'm bored. I'm like, enjoy being married.
Yeah. The post-wedding, like the void of post-wedding, there's like, what do I have to look forward to? What do I do with my extra time and my extra money? Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, I really appreciate you guys chatting with me today and sharing more about all the stuff that you guys are up to. And I know you also have like a special offer for everybody. So do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, okay. So we're offering an amazing promo code for $100 off our design consultant package, and then $50 off the rest of our packages as well. And we're going to run that through the end of this month. And then if people need a little bit more time, they can't pull the trigger on something just quite yet, we might extend it afterwards as well. But we'll be posting on our stories what those codes are. We'll say it right now, Savvy 50 and Savvy 100. But we'll be posting that throughout the remainder of the week and be doing a large push for that as well. But please, even just if you want to have a conversation with us, totally free, we'll do it. If you just kind of want to give us a little shout and see if we're a good fit. But we're really excited, and yeah.
Yeah, that's so generous of you guys to do that. I know like your time is valuable and you have so much expertise and knowledge to share. And so I hope that everybody who is in a position where they need that extra help, like can reach out and take advantage of that, because you guys are an incredible resource. So
thank you. Yeah, we're here to have a conversation and get to know you. And but thank you so much for this. This was awesome.
Yeah, super fun.
Nervous to do this at first. So it's been like our third. So we've been doing a couple of them, but they've always been like. So I haven't been like on social media or really been like I guess a face. Would you say? Like the company's been the company, and lucky enough that we have so many great relationships and partnerships, but she was like, you have to get on this thing and say hello to these people. And I'm like, okay, now I'm obsessed. I just want to talk to people all the time. Chelsye,
I struggle with it myself. I much prefer this format where I can have a conversation with somebody rather than just being like, hi, I'm here, talk to me, I'm gonna talk to the camera.
I can do that. This is good. This is
No, this is really great. And it's also served as like a great social outlet for me, because I've been quarantined since early March. And so getting a chance to chat face to face with people who are serving couples in a way that works for them right now and helps them is just a really great thing for me, and I've really enjoyed it. So, and I've really enjoyed chatting with you guys, you ladies, guys. But so I guess before we wrap up, just share a little bit more about where everybody can find you, your website, your social handles, and all of that stuff.
Yeah, of course. So it's Get Intrigued. When I first started the company, I was just really excited about kind of getting people excited for events and getting them intrigued in what we do. And so it's Get Intrigued. And then if you do want to email us in order to kind of set up that initial free consultation, please do. You can visit our website at get-intrigue.com or just email us at events@get-intrigue.com.
You can find all this on our Instagram too as well, on both Virtually Wed and Intrigue Design and Events.
Yep.
So
Amazing.
We'll tag it in the comments too, just so everybody has the info.
Awesome. Well, this was so fun. I don't want to go, but I also want to be respectful of your time and everybody else's time.
We have lots of other fun stuff to do today too.
This was awesome. And we'll have to do this again. We would love to follow up later on. If there's anything that anybody has any questions about, we'd always be open to a Q&A just to hopefully give some free advice to people who need it. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much. And thanks for everybody for watching. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
Sounds good. Bye everybody.
Bye.